Good morning. Thank you guys for joining the call. Today, I didn't really tell you what we were going to do today's training call on because I said it was going to be the biggest sales secret, or what I think is the most important aspect of sales. And that is what I think is the greatest opportunity in sales is follow-up. And the reason I bring up follow-up is I listened to a sales summit here a few days ago and listened to Grant Cardone, and I enjoy listening to Grant Cardone. I listen to him quite a bit. He just beats it into people that you got to follow up. And I've got some statistics that I wanted to share. And his motto, and it's certainly a motto that I agree with, is that we don't want to compete. The thought is that in America is that if you're competing, then you're working hard, you're trying to win, and if you're competing, then essentially maybe sometimes you'll win, maybe sometimes you'll lose. The key is that you want to dominate, and when you're dominating the competition in effort, activity, and results, you win. Not sometimes, but all the time. And so the statistics behind follow-up are that 48% of salespeople, again that was 48% of all salespeople never follow up. They get a lead and it never gets called. Or someone asks them to call them and they never call them. Or they get a contact and they never follow up. Almost half of everyone that calls themselves a salesperson never follow up. Almost half, 48% of salespeople never follow up. How crazy is that? We'll take it a step further. 25% of all salespeople, again 25%, a fourth of salespeople make 2 contacts and quit. When it comes to leads or getting a contact or a referral or whatever you want to call it, any type of contact or following up period, whether someone sends you an email or a text or a Facebook message, it doesn't matter. Or if you pay for an internet lead, 25% of salespeople make 2 contacts and then they quit. We'll take it a step further. 1/8, or 12.5%, well, I think that's right, of salespeople make 3 contacts. One-eighth of salespeople, we'll say 3 to 4 contacts just to keep it simple. 12.5%, an eighth of salespeople, of all salespeople in any sales field, make 3 to 4 contacts, and that's it. Well, to take it a step further and give you a crazy, wild statistic, is that 80% of all sales in general, which leaves us with the last 10 to 15% of salespeople, if you want to do the math and add the 48, the 25, the 12.5, leaves us with about 10-15% left over. Of the last 10 to 15% of salespeople are the only ones that make 5 or more contacts. Well, the 80% that I mentioned, 80% of all salespeople, 80% of all sales, let me correct myself, 80% of all sales are made between the 5th and 12th contact. If 80% of all sales are made between the 5th and 12th contact, then why in the world would someone, number 1, never follow up, number 2, call once, number 3, contact twice, contact 3 times, contact 4 times, and why would we even want to be at the bottom end of that, where it's 5 or 6 or 7 times? Because if 80% are sold between the 5th and 12th contact, then what in the world can we do to better our chances of actually making a sale. If we put skill aside, and we put work ethic aside, and we put effort aside, we put all that aside, and we just focus on the exact amount of contacts it takes, whether you're a fantastic salesperson or a horrible salesperson. If we look at the actual statistics of 80% of sales are made between the 5th and 12th contact. But about 90% of salespeople never take it that far. And you know what? I'm going to go over the reasons, because you're probably thinking, well, why in the world, or why the freak wouldn't someone take it to the max, or at least give themselves a chance? Well, the excuses or the reasons that people say, and some of these are actually the manager's fault, is that most salespeople say that they never follow up, or they don't follow up the 5 to 12 times, is because the number one reason is they don't know what to say. Because when I contact the third time, they said, I'm not sure that I want this anymore. Well, there's still a chance that they may buy. And most salespeople will think, well, when I call them back, I don't know what to say to get them over the hump. Or I don't know the questions to ask to actually get them to buy. Or to get them to start to think of the reasons why they should buy. The second reason that most salespeople never follow up or don't follow up 5 to 12 times is because they aren't organized. When you're contacting someone that many times, you have to be extremely, extremely detailed and organized. And so you have to have what is called a system in place to actually contact people that many times. And I'm going to give you ideas and solutions to do this. And after I heard this, I've started to implement this, and I've heard it a lot over the last few months or last 6 months or so. I'm going to tell you what to do, how to fix this, how to do it, when to do it. I'm also going to go over the results that I've had with my telesales lady that's implementing this exact strategy in our internet leads. The third reason, and agents won't say this, or salespeople won't say this, but the third reason why most salespeople do not follow up 5 to 12 times is because of a lack of effort, or they are lazy. They will not say that. It will not ever come out of their mouth. But it is true. Because even the best of salespeople that think they are just incredible at sales and that they can sell anyone and that they're just the best in the office or whatever, don't always follow up that 5 to 12 times, which is nuts. Then it becomes an effort issue, because it's not a skill issue. It's not that they don't know what to say, and it's probably not that they're not even organized. It just comes down to effort. So if you can have the right system, know what to say, if you're organized and you put forth the effort and you make sure you always contact people, you know what? And we shouldn't even say, well, let's make sure we contact people 5 times. If we know 12 is kind of the max, and we're going to get the best results by contacting people 12 times, we should contact every lead, contact, door knock, referral, trade show contact, Facebook message, anything, 12 times. Let's go to the max. Let's contact everyone 12 times. And when I say a contact, I don't mean a phone call. A contact involves a phone call, a text message, an email, direct mail, a visit, a social media message, any kind of creative way that you can get yourself in front of that person once again, visually or audioly. I know that's a word, but then it counts. And so most people, when we get an internet lead, and I've been guilty of this just as much as the next person, trust me, this is all an extreme eye-opener to me, is we get an internet lead, we call it. We got to call it within a few seconds. Okay, that's fine. Then we call it, I called them today. I'll try them back tomorrow at a different time. I'll try them back I called at 9 a.m., so I'll call them at 2 in the afternoon. Okay, the next day, and then about 3 days in, you're like, you know what? This is a horrible lead. It sucks. The people don't want to talk to me, or whatever the reason may be. And we never get to that 5th or 12th contact, or we don't creatively contact in other ways. Maybe they work 2 jobs and they're not going to answer their phone, but maybe they see a text. Maybe they're like me and they text nonstop, and it's actually easier to contact them by text. Not that I don't answer the phone anyway, or they check their emails religiously and too much, which I'm certainly guilty of. Or maybe they're a senior and a creative, vibrant, jump out of the box direct mail piece is what's going to actually get their attention. Or maybe a visit. Maybe they just don't respond to the world. So whether it's call, email, text, mail, doesn't matter. And maybe actually going and knocking on their door and say, hey, you requested a free quote. I've tried to contact you about probably 8 or 9 times so far. But I figured that coming and visiting you and giving you a quote face-to-face was in your best interest and what you were probably most comfortable with. Am I right? Let's get you that free quote. And so, or maybe they work, several jobs. They work nights. They sleep during the days, or whatever the reason may be. And the easiest way is to message on Facebook, or go friend them on Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter or Instagram, or I'm running out of social media names. I know there's some more, but Snapchat, Google Plus, all that stuff. We've got to creatively make 12 contacts from now on. We've got to all make a pact that anytime we get a contact or a lead or an internet lead or anything, that we are going to creatively contact them at least 12 times minimum. Any questions so far?
I do have one.
Shoot.
I've had a few folks that want me to just send them, respond to an email. They say, just put everything down on the email, which of course is going to do them a disservice. And I've spent a lot of time emailing people back and forth.
Okay.
Is it worth it to keep doing it?
It is worth it to keep doing it. There are some, and this will be for a different day, but there are some things that we can say, or some ways we can overcome that sometimes, not every time. But it still counts as a contact. But we still need, even when they want us to email them quotes, we still need to set a time to text them, email them, and call them and say, what'd you think of the quote? Are you ready to move forward now? Let's see if we can get you approved. And so even after that, it still probably takes another, some people, it'll take 3, 4, or 5 contacts. Some people it'll take 12 contacts because they take a while to make a decision. They want to do their full realm of shopping, so to speak. And so, you know what? For those, the people that are, and there's always going to be permanent shoppers that never buy. And we've got to be able to distinguish those and figure out what category people fall into. But even those.
But even if you spend, say, 10 hours emailing this client, and they finally decide to do something after 10 hours, pretty much your minimum commission is going to be $200. So you made $20 an hour doing that. So which would be, it takes less than 30 seconds. Less than 30 seconds to send off an email. So I would, 10 hours is a super.
Exaggerating, but no, that's a good example though.
That's true. Only one time do I spend more than that. That's figured out the quotes.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I have to get simple and break it down to math. So if I spent 20 hours and it's a $400 policy, that's $20 an hour. Go to town.
Yeah, absolutely. All of our time is worth a different amount. There's no doubt about that. Now, what steps do you need to take to get to where you're making 12 contacts every single time. And those steps are, these first 4 aren't technically steps, but they're things that you've got to do. You've got to get committed that no matter what distraction gets in my way, or no matter what happens, I'm contacting these people 12 times, no matter what. You've also got to be relentless. You've got to, I always say with leads, you know what? They requested it. Annoy them until they buy, or they tell me, I'm never going to buy. Never call me again. Well, they didn't say we couldn't text them and email them, but no. The third thing is be persistent. Be committed, be relentless, and be persistent. What I mean by persistent is continue to turn the wheels of the train until you get to the finish line. And the fourth thing is you've got to be creative and add some of your personality into it. We've all got different personalities. Well, when we contact people, we need our personalities to come through. Whether it's on the phone, if it's by text, if it's by email. Don't be so... You got to think, say with internet leads, they go to 5 people for whatever, I don't know. It's going to be different with every site and different every time, because sometimes people will never actually call them. And so let's just say, apparently half of the people will never actually call them, or they won't follow up more than once. So let's just say that they get handed out to 5 different agents. Well, if every agent's automatic thing is just to call, which that's probably, I don't know, at least 70, 80, 90% of the agents, that's probably all they do, at least 70, 80%. Okay, well, they're not calling with any personality probably. It's just simply, hey, business. It's time to get down to business. Let's get serious. Let's give you your free quote. Well, some people, they want a fresh, creative personality that they can talk to, that they can relate with, and we can do that in multiple different avenues. We could probably sit here and come up with 6 to 10 different creative ways to contact them. And so the actual steps that you need to take outside of being committed, being relentless, being persistent, and being creative, the actual steps you need to take outside of that is you need to have some type of system. Whether it's automated or whether you're doing it all by hand, you need a system. Now, I recommend that it's automated. We've got a $19 a month CRM that can text all leads that are entered in there, and it can email all leads whenever you want. They can say whatever you want, and they can do it as often as you want. You also need a system for calling. Let's say I'm going to call them as soon as it comes in. I'm going to be the first agent. That's where the committed comes in. I'm going to be the first agent to call them every single time, no matter what. I'm going to be the very first one. As soon as it hits my phone, I'm hitting dial. And so we always want to be number one, because that helps increase our ratio of selling it and maybe avoids us having to follow up for multiple hours. But we also need to think, okay, if I left a voicemail here, maybe your system is I'm going to call them twice a day. Or I'm going to call them morning, late morning, early afternoon, late afternoon, and evening. Or 3 times a day, or 4 times a day. Whatever it is, have a system for that. That no matter what, it happens day in and day out. Whether it's a weekend, a holiday, doesn't matter. It's a system that you've got forth that it happens like clockwork. Yes, you've got to get committed and actually do it, but it happens like clockwork. And so, say you take, you make 3 calls a day for 4 days. Well, there's 12 contacts. Well, but those weren't creative contacts. It was just calling. So, you know what? I should have texted them at least once a day, or at least twice a day. I should have emailed them at least once a day, or maybe twice a day. I should have, if I didn't contact them after 12 contacts, my instant thing is I'm going to send them a piece of direct mail after 3 days, and after 4 days, if I didn't get a hold of them, I'm going to visit them. I'm going to their house. Because I paid for this. It's valuable. It's money. I'm going to go see them. That's something to do, is obviously visit them or door knock them. Something that we've implemented with my telesales agent that Taylor's doing, and she's doing a phenomenal job. And I'm going to say this. She's very focused, very determined, very relentless. She doesn't have the most skill in the world, but when you are relentless and you are committed and focused, skill is like a byproduct. It is. We have a thing where she contacts. We have it text them and email them every day for a week. And we also call, and you can probably think I'm nuts, but she also calls everything a minimum of twice a day. So you got to think of that, and she does that for a week. So let's just say that she gets it on a Monday. Well, she works through Friday. She's called them at least 10 times. And they've got at least 14 other contacts, 7 from text, 7 from email. That's 24 contacts in a week. That's absurd. But the percentage of opportunity of getting them, converting that to a sale goes up. No matter, I'm doing at least 12 because I know that's like the biggest number that they came up with. So I'm doing at least that, if not double or triple, just to be crazy and insane. I listen to Grant Cardone all the time, and he said that he followed up with one person and this is where I struggle because I eventually want to move on to the next individual, is what I call it. But he followed up with one. It was a big account, and he thought he could eventually get it. So I guess it was a rare situation, we'll say. If I'm not mistaken, I think he followed up with someone for like a year or 2 years or something. Ended up being the biggest sale of his career. I don't remember how much it was. It was, probably several hundreds of thousands of dollars. But I think he probably followed up with that guy every week for a couple years. You think, well, that's insane. But he got the sale. And I remember another time where the person, he contacted someone so many times within the first 2 weeks, like 30 or 40 times in the first 2 weeks, that they said, you know what, if you are that focused, he finally got them on the phone, or they recalled him back and said, if you are that focused, and you are that determined, and you are that relentless, and you are that crazy about the way you run your business, then I want to be your client. You're the person I should be buying from, because you're serious. Not only are you going to grow your business, but you're going to be around when I need service down the road, because you run your business the most insane way I have ever seen. And so you know what? Sometimes they get contacted so much, which is extremely, extremely rare. But sometimes they get contacted so much that they're like, you know what? Just to get this guy to leave me alone, I'm going to buy from him. Because I'm going to buy down the road anyway. I might as well buy from the guy that is just absolutely relentless and contacting me like crazy. Any questions on anything we went over so far? And the reason I chose this topic is I thought we contact a lot of leads. We get a lot of contacts from trade shows. We have a lot of warm market. We have a lot of referrals. Whatever our business, whatever contacts are going through our business. If the average individual is contacting them, well, never or once, or 4 or less times and not getting results, then I need to know this, and everyone in the mentorship program needs to know how many times it takes to succeed. If you take what you actually say, or the skill, or your methods, or your personality, or whether you're monotone or you're great to listen to, doesn't matter. If you take all that out and just contact so many times, you could train the worst salesperson in the world to just contact people over and over and have a system by the number of times, and he's still going to succeed just because he's relentless. So, any questions at all? I'm going to run through the stats again. If you have a question, please interrupt. Please stop me. 48% of salespeople never follow up. Or we could say about half never follow up or just follow up once. 25%, a fourth of all salespeople, make 2 contacts and quit. An eighth, or about 12% of salespeople, only contact 3 to 4 times. Only about the remaining 10 to 15% of all salespeople contact at least 5 times. Well, that doesn't mean they contact 5 to 12, because they just means they contact at least 5. But why in the world wouldn't we contact 12 times plus 12 times or more if 80% of all sales are not made until the 5th contact? I think this is extremely valuable information that if I would have known back when I started my career, if I'd have known this single thing, if I'd have known this, I'd be making $1 million a year today. I can promise you that. Guaranteed. Because this is that valuable. For anyone that's listening, Taylor, my new telesales girl, I'm going to brag on her for a second. She is doing phenomenal. She is working her butt off. She is the most focused lady I've ever seen. She made 5 sales last week, Monday through Friday. She didn't make one Thursday. She made 2 Friday, so she made up for that. She averaged 1 a day. She made 5 sales, and we submitted over 3,500 of commissions from last week alone. And so I will have 3 or 4 or 5 of her doing that by the end of the year. And they're making, she's licensed, she's making all the contacts, she's reading the script, she's giving a quote, and we've got it down to a system pretty good. We can always improve it and get better, but it's certainly going pretty well. She's giving the quote, she's asking them to buy, she's closing the business, and she's filling out a complete app sheet. She's getting their height and weight, their date of birth, their social, their driver's license number, their bank information, their beneficiaries. Any information that we think we can't get over the phone, we can. And she is getting it all. That just goes to show that with some effort and the right amount of contacts and the right system, we can succeed in this business. Now, I don't want any mentorship agents selling over the phone yet, because she's got me having 5 years of experience in this business, helping her, showing her what to do. But it is tougher to sell over the phone in this business, and it is easier to sell in person. So, just wanted to kind of give you a little positive motivation that it can happen, and that she is tearing it up. So, if anybody wants to know what we're saying, the scripts we're using, anything like that, I'm always very open and more than happy to show you. She's getting from, hi, my name's Taylor, thanks for taking my call, to thanks for your business, welcome to the family. And she's doing a good job. Any other questions before we end the call? Again, the biggest sales secret, or the most important aspect of sales, period, is follow-up. Because you can't close if you don't get to the follow-up. And this is something that I have learned and that we are going to start to implement with all of our agents for everyone that is involved with Secure or the mentorship program. Any questions before we get off the call and we have a phenomenal, outstanding, astonishing, amazing, super week? Any questions? Okay. We will talk in our one-on-ones. Thank you all for joining the call. Have a fantastic week, and let me know if you need me or if I can help. Please call, text, or email me anytime. See you guys. Have a great week.